So you probably heard ChatGPT have released a new model, GPT-4o, O meaning omni, which is all-inclusive. I am not going to go into what the model does, what it doesn't do. There are many videos out there that you can go check out for that. It's definitely had some improvement, and I'm impressed with what they've done. What I'm going to cover in this video here is the fact that it is now 50% cheaper than what it was. So it's gone from 10 and 30 down to 5 and 15. This is a significant reduction and something that can now be used to create content at a very affordable price compared to what it was before. Before it was 20 times more expensive to create 4.0 content versus 3.5. And there was not a significant difference. Even today, I'm not too sure that there's a huge difference, but there is a difference, and I'm going to show you in a video how that happened, or how I checked that out today. I created an article back in February for this horse that won the 2023 Kentucky Derby. And what I did this morning was I went out and created a second one using 4.0 with exactly the same parameters that I used last time. And those parameters were basically this. Some of you may not be aware, but there is a beta feature where you can add a weekly article on top of the title like this. And all you do for that is you just find your article over on Wikipedia, you grab the URL, and you just bang it straight in there basically. So I added an image, same as I always do, humanized it to get some kind of good scores in Zero GPT, and that was it. Ran it, and before you knew it, I had an article a couple of minutes later. So anyway, what are the differences? I'm not going to go totally down the page and talk about every single bit, because I actually did some check-in with ChatGPT itself to compare the articles, which we'll go into just after we've gone through this. So going down the page, the first thing is really the image. Up to you whether you like that image or this image. There's not a lot of difference. I mean, this one actually it's a little bit more factual in my opinion. And I'd have to do a lot more images to find out if the 4.0 prompt, because the actual DALL-E 3 has not changed in any way whatsoever. It's just the prompt that's slightly changed using 4.0. The old one would quite often put images of cameras, or like cameras from the 2000s in a Kentucky Derby of 1800 or something like that. So it was kind of on the edge, to be honest. There's about 3 or 4 different areas in this article which I'll go over really quickly. On the intros, my tool basically looks at the title. If you have a question, it will answer that question here. If it doesn't, it may look for some way to do key takeaways. If it can't find anything like that, then it will do a short summary. Again, I'm not going to bore you with reading it. You can actually go to these articles. I mean, this one's probably the easier one to find. You can just go to the home page and you'll find this article there straight away. It's not there. It's by the year. Okay, it's there basically. Yeah, there it is basically. It's very easy to find. So what we're going to do, go back. So this one here is a little bit generalized. It's not bad at all. And you have to remember that at this point when the tool is creating it, it is actually kind of not knowing what's going to be actually in the article. So this is actually quite generalized. It's not bad. Definitely, I was more than happy with it, otherwise I wouldn't put it out there. No idea why I did that. This one here actually is really good. I'm not going to read it through, but I can tell you that I did read it through, and it covered everything that was going to be put in the article. It really did summarize it in such a great way. Next we'll move down to the pros and cons. This is one of those areas where there's a lot of people have said they don't like it, they don't want pros and cons in their article, and truthfully I found that they're pretty decent. So I just changed it on my tool, very easy. You can now remove pros and cons, you can remove the videos, you can remove the myths and facts, you can remove the FAQ, you can remove the table, you pretty much do whatever you want. You can do languages as well. So back to this. So one of the things that I did notice before was, and if I can find the article would be good, was I've done 150 of these articles for each of the years for the Kentucky Derby, and I can tell you that pros and cons, and another section further down, are the areas where it was kind of like, it's right on the edge. They basically all came out very, very similar. 3.5 was really focusing on Kentucky Derby rather than the year as such. So they've come out like this, which is not bad. I mean, it's just not fantastic by any means. Whereas this one, when I read it this morning, I was like, wow, this actually is really kind of, you know, pulled it off. It's talked about the actual year, what happened in that year, etc., etc. So that's great. Let's keep moving down the page. Next part, some of you may not know, but we do add tables to all our articles unless you don't want them. And in the earlier article, it put the race results in, and they are all perfectly correct. The reason it does that is at this part of the script, when we create the table, if you're using a Wikipedia article, it makes sure that it uses data from that article, which in this case would be, it also will look for a table, basically. And so, yeah, it just pulls the results, and so I know that those are correct. If we go back to this one, I know it must be driving everyone crazy watching me click around. So here we go, back into this one, it did put the winners in there. It didn't surprise me one little bit, but what it did do was it put the extra tables in. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. And you're going to see that that's also picked up later when we compare the two articles side by side with a tool, not like this. Going further down, this was another area where basically the myths and facts was on the edge at times, basically. This one, it nailed it. Again, I was very, very happy with that. The FAQ, same, absolutely no problem. Significantly better than the old FAQ. Let's just go down. This was always a little bit wordy, in my opinion, a bit too much. But anyway, this nailed it. One of the other things that I noticed on this is the newer one, Control F, was I had a friend who actually writes articles manually still. Go over a couple of my articles and give me some feedback on them. And what he said was that they were very wordy. You could add keyword stuffing to the list. Not that I do that, it's just the way 3.5 writes. There was many different words which we all know 3.5 uses, which are not actually really used in today's language as it was. And one of the ones was that, so what I did this morning was just quickly looked at like the main centric thing, which is the horse mash, and here it's mentioned 57 times. Sounds like a lot, but it is a 2,500, 3,000 word article. If you do it on this one, it comes back at 77. So it's definitely improved in that area there, which is a good start. The other thing that I was extremely surprised about when I did this, which probably is another reason why I'm doing this video, because it really did surprise me, was something that I'm looking for, and there it is. I got my mouse over it already. So the first article that I did, I've had certain people push me pretty hard to get the thing so that it's not like 99% AI like some of the tools out there. And that first article came out 29%, no editing, no nothing. I mean, I might have changed one or two little words, but I sure as hell didn't go down and say, oh, let me change this sentence so that it's going to be non-detectable. Definitely not something I would do. So anyway, I ran the newer article this morning, and wow, I was impressed. I mean, 6.6 is like, that is impressive. I mean, now we're getting down to a point where if we can get that last little bit knocked out, then we're getting really close to the money, basically. So anyway, for the for checking the article side by side, what I did was I jumped over to ChatGPT, because again, I'm lazy. I gotta do that. Oh, you hate me every time you do that. I don't know why it does that to me. What I did was quite simply go in there and say, do you know what quality rated guidelines are? And it said, yes, I do, and it gave me all the usual stuff back. So what I did then, and I need to look at something here. Yeah, first article is the news. Okay. So basically what I did was I'd like you to rate this article, please. And this is the article that I did this morning with 4.0. So I'm not going to bore you with everything that it said, because we're going to come to that in a summary. And then I said, please do the same for the article that I did back in February, article 2. So I'm impressed in that one, because earlier I had to cut a video at this point, and because I couldn't remember which one was 2 and which one was 1. So anyway, here basically this is, it's going to rate the second article. It's done now. So now here, please give me the differences. Here's a summary of the differences between the two basic. So this we can go through. So the first article, the one done with 4.0. 7.67 demonstrated high expertise and authoritativeness. Also showed good expertise but slightly lower in the authoritativeness area. Provided a solid overview but lacked the depth and detail of the first, slightly higher due to the depth and comprehensive coverage. So the main content was detailed and well organized with use for supplementary content. Also had good main content but was slightly less detailed and comprehensive. I think you're getting the general idea here that it is better. Is it significantly better? I think that's to be debated. But anyway, let's keep going through. 9.0, I love to see that. I was like, wow, we're getting really close to the 10. I mean, if we can do that would be fantastic. The second one wasn't as engaging, etc., etc. 8.33 versus 7.33. The content is comprehensive and engaging, is also good, but less comprehensive and slightly less accurate. I'm not sure why it called it slightly less accurate, because, as some of you may know, I have a fact-checking thing that I use to check all my articles before I actually sign off on them, if you want to call it that. And it's simply this: you go over to GPT, and when I ran it this morning, it came back as perfect for the one that I did this morning, which didn't surprise me one little bit. And it also came back as, very interesting, that just disappeared. It also came back correct for the other one as well. And that's because I'd already fact-checked it in the past, so I knew that was not going to give me a what's it name there. So it was quite interesting that it said that basically there was a minor thing with and slightly less accurate. I'm not sure why it did that, but I'll pass on that one. Here I'm not too sure on these numbers because I haven't got a calculator out and calculated them, but it seems like there probably is more of a difference than that actually. More in depth with a thorough analysis like that, less detailed, focusing more on the general story. I would agree with that, with the humanizing thing, definitely. Includes detailed tables with race results. Second had tables, but he even had more. Not a second, whatever. Highly engaging, love that. Engaging, but slightly less. Slightly higher touching, similar intro, but with fewer detail. You get the general idea, basically. This 4.0 came out better. And I can assure you, just from reading the two, if you want to go over and read them, you can just pop on over to the website. You'll see that they are better. There's no doubt about it. So let's get back to where we started, which was basically all about the cost. So now we're 50% cheaper for 4.0. I've only ever enabled 3.5 for ComposeQuickly. So my question now to people is really, should we go at 4.0? Because even I'm at a point where I'm thinking this may be worth it. I'm sure that I'll be introducing 4.0 into certain smaller areas like the image that I showed you, because that's a very small prompt. But the question would be, would you want me to add 4.0 for everybody? I can assure you it won't be for those people who are not using their own API key and are on the free plan. But for those that you are using your own open API key and already paying for credits, would you be prepared to pay a little extra for 4.0? And this is what the numbers work out to be. If you're just doing an article, and let's say you're not humanizing it, you're not doing anything like that, let's say that you do a little bit of that kind of stuff. I can tell you that the average cost per user is 20 credits per article. And that's if you add an image, you humanize it, and you upload it to your website and all those nice things. If you're using your own API, that's reduced to 50%. But then you get the API costs. So the API costs are this, basically 2.5 cents for an article. Forget about images and all that kind of stuff. Would you be happy paying 25 cents for an article instead of 2.5 cents? It really boils down to that, for that extra quality. I think we need to dig a little bit more into it, but it does look like it's something that really could be interesting as such. So I'll leave you with that, and let me know in the comments what you think. Doing a lot of ums today. So wherever you are, have a great evening, great morning, great lunch, whatever time it is. If you're sleeping, well, I'm sure you're sleeping, you're not watching this video. So that's it. Catch you later.